Chapter 8.2 gets into what we kind of talked about the day before, plus some other stuff. So you should recall distributive property from our experience in Chapter 1. That's where 7 meets 4x to make 28x. 7 meets -3 to make -21. I'm not going to make you show the meetings, but if you have to, feel free to put 7 meets 4x. I think you have to do that on your homework, but I don't know. But like I said, that's what I made you do to start, but that's the same thing. Here, 2x times 5x is 10x squared because there's 2 x's, plus 2x times 2 is 4x because there'd be 1x there. Again, 10 with x and x is x squared. 4 with 1x coming down is that part. All right. So if you've seen this material before, why is it coming back now? Well, this chapter is covering the process of operations with polynomials. This is going to take your experience another step by increasing the complexity of the terms. Be warned, it'll take yet another step in terms of the meetings that will get more challenging in terms of what we've been doing. The meetings I just showed you in the parentheses will get to be a little different. So your examples here are just making sure you get -8c meets c and -8c meets -15. Sorry, that's not in the paper. Which makes -8c squared, because there's 2 squares. 15 times 8 is 80 plus 40, which is 120. Make sure you understand both of those are negative with just a c. So that would be your answer. Just take your time. Make sure you get that down. When you go to this, -v to the 4th meets v, and -v to the 4th meets -11. This is negative because there's one negative. V to the 5th. 2 negatives makes it positive. 11 v to the 4th. That's it. All right. Here, 9a meets 13a to the 6th, and 9a meets 10a squared, and 9a meets -11. 9 times 13 is 90 plus 27, which I believe is 117. A to the 7th, because there's 1a over here, 6a is over there. Let me verify that for myself. Yep. 9 times 10 is 90. A to the 3rd. 9 times 11 is 99. A. And that would be all you have to do. So we're not getting crazy yet. Next section will, in terms of distributive property, that'll be next week. But right now, I think what you need to focus on is making sure you don't mess up on that distributive part, that you know how to show those meetings, and that you adjust to the factoring that we are taking step forward on. So this section is also going to pretty much step up your factoring. As I said in the last lesson, factoring and distributing are opposites. Distributive property is the operation of multiplication. Factoring represents the operation of division. This is an official introduction because, again, that's what we are going to get into. The difference is we will actually do the more difficult ones. And difficult doesn't mean that you can't do it. It just means that they're the tricky ones. So the problems in this section are simple enough, but you have to work to get it, since there will be, it's very important actually in the second half of the chapter, which will be your 8.5 through 8.8. But what we did yesterday was we looked and said, what's the biggest number I can divide in 10 to 15? That is 5. Can't take anything else off. 10 divided by 5 is 2 with an x. 15 divided by 5 is 3. And again, quick check. 5 times 2x is 10. 5 times 3, 15. This is my answer. Whatever you do, don't turn it back to 10x plus 15. I have a lot of students who do that. Now, e is different. If you don't know what the number is, remember I showed you put these numbers into a fraction. And then ask yourself, what do you divide 12 by to make 3? And if you don't know, what's 12 divided by 3? That is 4. So the biggest number I can take out is 4. But in this problem, which is different from yesterday and so far today, this has 2 x's, this has 1. So you pretty much have 12 with 2 x's minus 28 with 1 x. Well, how many x's do they have in common? Is 1. And so you can also pull off an x. Could not do that here because I did not have an x. That's why we just pulled off a number. But when they have these in common, you can actually take 1 off. You take the lowest amount that they have in common, which in this case out of 2 and 1 is 1. So now you divide and subtract. 12 divided by 4 is 3. I had 2 x's, I took 1 off, I'm left with 1. Minus 28 divided by 4 is 7. I had 1 x, I took it off. If you factor it correctly, if both of these have an x on it, both of these should not have an x on it, because otherwise that means you didn't take off enough. But again, the key thing is take off the lowest amount of those two things and you're guaranteed to get it right. All right. Then we get to this one. Well, 364 and 324 are big numbers, so I'm going to use the trick that my teacher taught me. Put these two into a fraction, 364, 324, and then divide the two top numbers divided by 81, which is 4. It means my biggest number is 4. But remember what I said about the variables. There's 13 over here, 5 over there. They have 5 in common. Choose the smaller for what they have in common. Y12, Y11. I'm going to take 11 because they have 11 in common. Open your parentheses. Divide and subtract. 364 divided by 4. 4 goes into 36 9 times. 4 goes into 4 once. And subtract. 13 x's. I took off 5. That leaves me with 8. 12 y's. I took off 11. That leaves me with 1. Copy the sign. 324 divided by 4. 4 goes into 32 8 times. 4 goes into 4 once. I had 5 x's, took them all off. They're gone. Had 11 y's, took them all off. They're gone. Notice how this has an x but that doesn't. This has a y but that doesn't. That means I factored it right. Last thing I want to do is make sure the numbers work. So 4 times 91, that is the number I'm looking for. And then 4 times 81, that is also the number I'm looking for. So I know for a fact that that is the right answer. All right. This lesson here, I guess it's good that you have 2 sections, but this lesson here is mainly just based off of your practice. So remember that this material, though basic, is important throughout the chapter. If you do not work on the process, it will come back to haunt you later or sooner, one or the other. But again, make sure you use the fact that you only have 2 lessons this week to practice this stuff. Hit similar problem, try another one, then try another one, then try another one. If you cannot get from beginning to end fluently, then you really don't know it and you're running the risk of missing it on the quiz. So just make sure you're ready for that stuff. And other than that, good luck. Talk to you later.